Well, it looks like the frost has gotten our tomatoes, but that's okay. We have a lot of cool weather crops growing here at the farm too. Come with me and I'll show you what's growing. Broccoli is a staple crop for the cool weather season. Look at that head of broccoli, isn't that beautiful? Nice thing about broccoli is I'll cut this head off and then it'll produce a lot of side shoots as well. Probably 2 to 3 side shoots. It won't get near as big as the head, but they'll be, you know, decent size, good enough to eat. One of my favorite crops to grow in the fall. We're actually growing several varieties of mesclun cutting greens for salads. You can see this variety is far ahead of this variety. The bad thing about this variety is it's a little too bitey for Teresa and myself, so we haven't actually been eating it that much. So we're hoping for this guy to catch up with him soon. Well, the peas are starting to bloom here. Still have quite a lot of growing to do. You can see I'm using these tomato cages to let the peas grow up on. Well, I wouldn't be much of a southern boy if I didn't have a nice row of collard greens. These are delicious. We'll harvest a whole mess of collard greens, take a boiler, put a little olive oil in the bottom, chop up some Canadian bacon and a clove of garlic and saute that for about 5 minutes. Then we'll put the collard greens in and let them wilt down for probably 10-15 minutes. That is some good eating. Beside my collard greens is one of my 3 rows of onions. I've got 3 varieties, a white variety, a yellow variety, and a purple variety. Actually, I have 4 now that I recall. I actually have another variety that is a super sweet. It's similar to a Vidalia onion. Of course, Vidalia is a copyrighted name. So unless you live in Vidalia, Georgia, you cannot legally grow Vidalia onions, or at least market them as Vidalia. It's the same onion, but not the same soil. Regardless, the onions should be ready probably this spring. They will do fine in my Georgia winters. It doesn't get too cold here, so they'll just grow all year and have nice huge bulbs ready to gather in the spring. Here are some radishes I've planted. Radishes like the cool weather too. Behind the radishes here are some potatoes, which actually like cool but not frost, which is why I have them protected with the Agribon row cover. The Agribon will probably give you 2 to 3 degrees protection. That's pretty much all I really need here in Georgia. Behind the radishes I have yet some more broccoli. One thing we tried to do is have succession planting here. So the time the broccoli, I finished harvesting the broccoli I showed you earlier, hopefully this broccoli will be up and ready to harvest in no time. Before the radishes, I have yet another bed of cut and come again leaf lettuce. Similar to what I showed you before, this is even earlier, so we're still waiting for it to come along even more. I don't think I've shown you my girls yet. I have a hive of bees installed early this spring. It's doing pretty well. I have a base on it, which is where the queen is and where she lays her eggs and honey. Then I have a super up here, which is just for honey, which we would harvest. This is the first year the bees have been here and established, so they have pretty much filled the base with honey, but not the super. And you can see they're not very active today. It's cloudy here. If it was a sunny day, there would be tons going in and out. We'll take a look. Oh yeah, they've actually moved pretty well up here. We can see in here, always move slow. You can see a few bees here. And they're just now starting to work in the super here. But still not making a lot of honey. So what that really means for me, since that means they're probably susceptible for winter, I'll probably have to feed them through the winter. Then hopefully next spring they'll be established and able to survive on their own without any assistance from me. and I will just be able to reap the benefit of their hard work from their honey. Not only do I get the honey from them, but I also get the added benefit of the extra pollination. There's been a lot of studies on the effects of bees on crops, and in fact you get far more harvest because you have much better pollination with a hive of bees. You can see here is the jar of sugar water, which I traditionally will feed them through the winter, which is just basically just sugar and water, and they will eat that and helps them get through until there's more flora in bloom for pollen. Here's another crop I'm growing. This is at the back of the farm. I had nothing planted in this particular area last year. However, I'm preparing it for planting next year, so I'm actually growing a green manure. You've heard me talk about this before. A lot of times I will grow buckwheat, one of my favorite green manures. This is oats. And what will happen, I will just have it grow, and then come spring, I will just till it in for the organic matter to feed the microbes and the earthworms and everything else in the soil, and it'll be ready for planting next year. I hate to see any soil bare, so I'll at least try to put a cover crop or straw or something on it through the winter. Well, we used to have chickens, but we had the chickens in a chicken tractor. We kept the chickens inside the electric fence for added protection. But one night, and one night only, we forgot to plug the electric fence in. Came back the next day, the chicken tractor's wire had been ripped off. Of my 11 chickens, 10 were dead and 1 was missing. We think it was probably a bobcat. We've seen bobcats on the farm. It could have been a raccoon just as well. Regardless, we had to take drastic measures. So we started a new policy. We'll put this little sign up here with a little hook. So every time I unplug the electric fence, I put my car keys on this hook. That way I cannot leave the farm without remembering to plug the electric fence back in. There, in, car keys, I am ready to go. We'll try chickens again this spring.